This episode is part one of a three-part series sharing how we used points and miles to book a girls' trip for a European summer that we will never forget. First up, Florence. Hi, I'm Rhea.
And I'm Duane.
And we are your hosts of the Travel Party of Five podcast, where we share how we travel as a family of five around the world.
We will also share how we use points and miles to travel as affordably as possible and sometimes even completely free.
So if you're wanting to travel more with your family, but you're not sure how, we'd love for you to listen in.
So welcome to our podcast where we hope you learn a thing or two to get you closer to your next trip.
Hello and welcome back to Travel Party of Five podcast. Duane has the day off today, and instead we have a very special guest because we are going to be talking all things Italy. And I thought, what better way to do that than to bring on my sister, who not only was on the trip, but was the pretty big reason for the trip. So please welcome my sister, Alaina Locus. Dun, 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 dun.
Hello, everybody.
Did you like how I even called you Alaina?
I know, and I thought you were I saw the hesitation in your voice. I was like, is she going to say Elena or is she going to say Billy?
Oh, my sister has two names. And when she was in high school, she decided that she wanted to be called Alaina, which is technically her first name, but her middle name is Billy. And so everyone in our family calls her Billy still, but all of her friends call her Alaina. So it's very weird.
Yeah, you can tell the friends that have been around for multiple years because they still, most of them, there's like one exception, still end up calling me Billy, like to this day. And other people are like, who are you talking about?
Yep. It's confusing. I mean, not for me, but for other people. So anyways, well, thank you for taking the time to hop on here. I want to talk about all the things that we did on our trip. We were gone for almost 2 weeks, and it was quite the adventure, I would say. But we're going to break it up into 3 episodes. So today we're talking all things Florence. And so normally how Duane and I do it is we talk about how we got there, where we stayed, and then stuff that we did. So you live in a different place than we do. So
Yes.
and our mom, I guess it's worth noting, our mom also joined us on this trip. So it was a girls' trip, just the 3 of us, no kids. Duane stayed home with our 3 kids. Bless his heart and soul. He deserves some kind of a medal for that. And we jetted off to 2 weeks in Europe. So mom and I flew from Phoenix and you flew from Washington. So I will quickly recap our flights and then you can talk about yours. But we flew American Airlines direct from Phoenix to London. And then we had an overnight layover in London. And then we flew the following day to Florence. And we booked those for 30,000 American Airlines miles each. And that was in economy. And our layover in London was like 18 hours. So we landed around 1 or 2 p.m. and had enough time to go into the city. We had high tea on a bus and we drove around London and saw the sights while we had tea and little sandwiches. So that was pretty cute. But we were also very tired. So then we just went back to our hotel and went to bed. And we stayed at the Hyatt Place London Heathrow Airport, which is like a category 1 or category 2 Hyatt. So you can book it for roughly 5,000 to 8,000 points a night. And then
the bus that you went on was pink, wasn't it?
It was red. Yes.
It was cute from the pictures I could see.
Yes. And so, yeah, it's all decorated cute. And, they have like little sandwiches and cookies and biscuits and all that. So it was a cute thing.
Yeah.
It was good for 5 hours in London, basically.
Yeah. And you didn't have to walk around anywhere. They just took you everywhere.
Yes, exactly. So that was good after a long flight in economy. Because the flight from Phoenix to London was like 10 hours, which is a good amount of time. And so then okay, so you live in Virginia. So you flew from Washington Dulles.
Yeah. I flew from Washington Dulles to Florence, which was like a 7 hour and 40-minute flight. I met you guys in London. My layover was in London before we went to Florence. And I thought it was the strangest thing when I got off the plane in London. I had to get on a bus and then come to the airport. I don't know like where the plane ended up sitting, but it like wasn't your typical gate. And so then I got on a bus and then met you guys at the gate in Florence, and literally like 10 minutes later we boarded the flight for Florence. So I was just a wee bit nervous that I was going to miss the flight to Florence. But it ended
Yeah.
up being perfect and working out fine.
Yeah. You had a tight layover, especially for being, coming from the States. So it was an international flight. But I think like we booked these flights as one ticket. So like our flight was one ticket, Phoenix to Florence, and your flight was one ticket, uh, Virginia to Florence.
Yeah.
And so I guess I was like, well, I assume the airline knows that this is doable. So hopefully it is. And mom and we got to the airport really early and we just went into the lounge and waited for you to arrive and had breakfast. So that was nice. The lounge was fine.
Yeah, because I had to, because it
Um,
was an international flight, I had to go back through security once I got back into the airport from off of the bus. And I think it was like a different type of security, but still I had to go to the actual back through security. I was very confused. I was like, oh my gosh, what are we doing?
well, also the London Heathrow security is like next level. Like they searched one of my bags and there was a line of probably 15 bags in front of mine that they first had to search before they could do mine. And I mean, I probably waited there for 25 minutes just waiting for them to get to my bag. It was
Good,
good times. Yep.
good times.
Okay, so then we went to Florence. The flight from London to Florence is like 2 hours, so it's pretty doable, maybe two and a half. And then we had to wait an entire hour for your bag to be delivered.
I
And we
was
thought it
very
wasn't coming.
convinced. I was convinced I was where I didn't put any extra. So like my tip for you guys is like put an extra outfit in your backpack or your carry-on, because when I got to the Dulles airport, they made me check my bag like before I even went through security. And I didn't think about this. I didn't know, so I didn't plan for that. So like my advice would be like put something in your backpack, because I was like convinced my bag was never going to arrive. We were sitting in the Florence airport and it was to the point where we waited so long that I got in the lost bag line. And I was like, well, this one outfit I have, and my sister's over here looking up where the nearest H&M is and like where we can go get clothes. Because I was like, there's no way, like my bag's not going to show up. Like I have one outfit and this is all I've got. But it ended up coming. It showed up. It was great. I was like, thank goodness. And we were good. We were able to leave finally after waiting literally an hour.
I thought we were going to get to go on a shopping spree, and I was kind of excited. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but I guess it's fine. It's good.
Yeah, because I bought my ticket through, or I had with the Chase card, I had security, or what's it called?
Yes. Yeah, like travel protections. Yeah.
Travel protection. So my sister's like looking up how much money the travel protection was, so we knew what our budget was in our shopping spree. Like we were ready to go shopping, and then all of a sudden we just see this purple bag come. I was like, get it quick. But
Yeah. 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 Well, and I've heard stories that the Florence airport is like notorious for losing bags. And so I just was like, ugh. And we had carry-ons and they did not make us check them. So I was thankful for that. But it all worked out. Okay. Let's talk about where we stayed because I think this was by far the nicest accommodations of our trip. And like it was very fancy. So, okay, we stayed at Il Tornabuoni, which is probably not how you say it, but it's a Hyatt and it's part of their Unbound collection. So Hyatt has all these different brands. and the Unbound collection is one of them. So not only did we get to stay at this hotel using points, but I got to check off a brand on my Hyatt bingo. So that was exciting. This hotel is now a category 7 Hyatt. And so we've talked on this podcast before. The categories range from 1 to 8. 8 is like the most luxurious place you'll ever stay. And 1 is like the cheapest place you'll ever stay, probably. And so this one is a category 7, so almost the highest. When we booked it, though, it was a category 6. And so we paid 44,000 points a night for 4 nights. So it ended up being 176,000 points total for 4 nights, which is that's a lot, I feel like. But we had 3 adults. And in Europe, it can be really hard to find hotel rooms for more than 2 people. And when you do, you generally have to book a suite. And that is what we did. So we booked a 2-queen suite. So there were 2 queen beds plus like I don't know, almost like a little sofa type area.
Yeah, like a little nook area, I guess. It was
And it
kind of
definitely,
like
like,
on the.
it wasn't a pull out bed. Like it was a flat, like, I don't know, bed, but you slept on it. I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. I was good. It was like in the little corner. I mean, I liked it. It was nice. I didn't have any complaints. I don't think I could
Yeah.
sleep on it every day of my life, but it was good. It was nice.
Yeah. It was good. So yeah, we each had our own kind of bed. And the room was like there was like these heavy curtains, and I was looking up the hotel earlier. So first of all, they only have 62 rooms and suites, which is pretty small. But this is what it says on the website, and I think this is like an accurate description of what it's like. It says our rooms and suites have been designed as an ode to the Renaissance. It was very Renaissancey. From the bold gem tone colors to the luxurious furnishings, they epitomize the rich history and artistic magnificence of this period, the Renaissance period. And the building itself is a restored building. So they basically tried to keep as much of the character as they could while bringing it into modern day. And we did have like a TV and, um, all that fun stuff that you would expect. But I mean, tell me what you thought of the hotel.
I thought it was really nice. They just like they were very first of all the people were very kind. And it kind of felt like a family because I guess I didn't realize. I mean, I knew that there weren't very many rooms, but I guess 62 is like pretty small. Like who's staying with you and who's not. Like we made friends with the doorman, we made friends with the people that worked the front desk, and so like everybody was very very kind. They helped us whenever we needed them to help us. Um, I think the room itself though, it was like cute. I don't know. I think that the way that the online explains it, you're right, is a very good explanation. But I mean, they gave us slippers and robes, which I mean, I know this is a category 7 and it's not the best, but like I think that was probably one of the nicest and maybe will be the nicest Hyatt that I ever stay in. Um,
I mean, it
and
like a category 7 is like really nice. Like I think that's one of the nicest ones I've ever stayed in.
yeah, it was really nice. I very much enjoyed that part of it. And they did a little my sister emailed them and told them it was my birthday, so they did like a little birthday cake for me and had it in the room when we got in the room, and it just said like happy birthday. The cake was phenomenal. I don't know what type of cake it was. It was like kind of like a raspberry something or other. What was the
Yeah, it was like raspberry and chocolate, I think. It was very good.
it was so good, but I thought it was really nice.
Yeah, they wrote you a little card.
Yeah, they wrote me a card. They wrote me a couple cards actually. Um and just said like we hope you enjoy your birthday here in Florence. Like it was really nice. I kept the card because I thought it was like very kind of them to do something simple like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it
And
was really good. Oh, and oh, you go.
any request that we asked them, they were able to do. Like my mom needed distilled water and they went and like they got it for us. But I don't know how they got it for us, but we called downstairs and they were like, "Yeah, we'll be right up with it." And there they are. with our we went to another Hyatt later on in the trip, and they were like, yeah, no, it's across the street. So like they had the distilled water for us and stuff, which was really nice. Nice little touch.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they literally went to the pharmacy and like bought it. Like I would almost bet money that's what they did. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was very much appreciated. The hotel also had like a little terrace area where you could go up, and I think maybe on the weekends they serve like they have a bar up there, but you can access it anytime. And like you went up there and read a book one time, I
Yeah,
think.
I went up and read, I'm in my reading era. Um, and I went up and read a book, like just sat up there by myself. And like by the time I finished reading, a couple other people had like come up there and they were reading as well. So it was nice. But yeah, on like when we on Friday, we had went up there, and they were we had went up there before we went to dinner and they were like getting it set up and stuff. So yeah, they do. I don't know if there's meals or like food up there, but they definitely had they were setting up the bar so like you can order drinks and stuff up there, which I would be beautiful. It was such a nice view up there.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see like all the rooftops of Florence, and it was really nice and beautiful. Oh, and they have like lining the terrace are like all these herbs, and they use those herbs in like their cocktails and their
Yeah.
on-site restaurants, and so that was like a nice little touch too.
Yeah, when they were setting up that Friday, the guy like walked over and grabbed some thyme and stuff to use in certain drinks, and I had looked up with the drink, and yeah, they absolutely use them for different things which I thought was a nice little touch.
Yeah, I love that. The other thing I think it's important to share about this hotel is it was very centrally located. So we were pretty much in the center of Florence, it felt like. And I mean, no more than a 10 or 15-minute walk to wherever we wanted to go. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I literally a 10-minute walk to wherever. There was so much stuff around. We were in like the very nice part of town with like Louis Vuitton and Gucci, Prada. I mean, you name it, that store
Yeah.
was around us. So like it was like, I mean, I don't got the money to shop at Louis Vuitton, but if you stay here and you do got the money, it's right next to you. Um, but I mean,
Yeah.
I thought the area was very nice and it was pretty close to the river too. So, um, and like one of the bridges over the river was our street that we were on. So like if you needed to go on the other side, you literally just walk right down the road. Like you didn't have to walk to the next bridge, which I thought was convenient. And I think you went
Yeah,
over there for gelato one night, but
I did. Yep. Walked right by myself at night in the dark. Mom was like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Mom, I'm fully an adult and like this is way safer than America. Like I am very sure." And I walked my happy butt over there, got the gelato and walked my butt back. And everything was fine.
yeah, it
Oh,
was.
mothers.
And then
Um,
we ordered room service the night that we got there,
yeah.
um, in the hotel because I had been traveling literally all day and I was like, my eyes, I cannot, like I've been traveling, well, I've been awake for almost like 24 hours because I didn't sleep a ton on the flight from Dulles to London because I sat in economy and I sat in the aisle. And I don't know if you guys are aisle seaters, but I could not sleep. Like it was terrible. The person behind me was like not letting me put my seat back. So like I was not enjoying that flight. Um, so I was so tired when we got there. So we just ended up ordering room service and it was good. They were very nice. They brought that room service up to us in a timely manner. The food was good.
Yeah, the food was good. I think we just got like pastas, but yeah, it was good. And I think that's the only time we ate at the hotel.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it was good. And the thing I hate is when they bring you room service and it's cold, but this was not. This was the perfect temperature. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys know this about Rhea, but she wants everything spiking hot. Like she goes to order her things at Starbucks, she says extra hot, and the extra hot is not hot enough. So like the fact that she's saying that means something.
Yes, it was a great temperature. Yes, if it doesn't burn my throat, it's not hot enough. Okay.
I
at
don't know
least when
how
it comes to coffee.
I don't know how you enjoyed the food, but it's okay.
It was great. It was delicious. Okay. Yeah. So great hotel. Here's the thing. The only thing that we had to pay for at that hotel, and this was like a theme around Italy in general, was there is a tax, a city tax, and that tax kind of varies, I think, depending on the type of accommodation you stay at. And since we stayed at a very nice accommodation, I think our tax was a little higher. So it was €8 per person per day. So for 4 nights, for three of us, we paid €96 total. And that was the only out of pocket cost for that hotel. And I mean, this hotel probably is, it's probably like €1,000 a night, I feel like. I should look it up while we're talking. So
Yeah, I don't.
here it is.
It was definitely. It was a very nice hotel. Um,
I'm gonna look it up while we're talking, but let's talk about some of the activities that we did.
do you want to talk about the chase points?
Sure. Yeah.
So my mom and I last year, like when we started booking this flight, I opened a Chase, oh my gosh, sorry, Chase Sapphire preferred card. And we went to Hawaii last year as a family, and so we ended up using that card everywhere we went so that I could earn the sign up bonus and use those points to book our flights. So I like my flight to Dulles, I ended up using those points from the Chase Sapphire card from the sign up bonus. And then when we, my sister, my mom opened a Chase Inc. preferred business card, and she used those points to do the Hyatt with you, right? You had points for the Hyatt?
Yeah. We split it. We split it. So I did half and she did half. Okay. Here. Okay. This room, the room that we stayed in, the two queen bed suite is €1,257 per night. Per night.
Wow. Wait, say that
Isn't that
again.
crazy?
Two.
€1,257 per night.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. We paid 96 and you know what? That probably doesn't even include the tax.
It definitely does not. But the tax was like a overall thing that we ran into every hotel we stayed at.
Yeah.
Which I guess we weren't. I mean, I wasn't prepared for that. I don't know if you were prepared for that. I didn't know.
I was
I'm
not
not
actually. I was
prepared.
not prepared. No, I
Yeah.
was not. So, yeah. But I mean, yeah, I was not. But it was weird though, because in Paris, there's supposed to be a tax and we didn't pay it. But I don't know. I guess we'll talk about that when we get to Paris.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about. Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to add something about your flights. So you booked on Air France, right? Your flight was. Oh, no, no, no. Your flight was.
British Airways there. But
Okay, that's
I
right.
booked
Yeah.
on American. I'm like pretty sure.
No,
And
you did you use mom's points for that flight?
no, I'm like pretty sure I used my points for both flights.
Because yeah, you could have booked you could have booked through British Airways using your Chase points because British Airways is a transfer partner of
Yeah.
Chase, whereas American is not. But you can fly like you can book American Airlines metal through British Airways if that makes sense. But yeah, it makes sense that you would have flown that um airline like British Airways. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Because I was thinking that you booked on Air France, but then I was like, that doesn't make sense because we were on the same flight from London to Florence, and our flight was it was through American slash British Airways. So
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, so you transferred your Chase points to British Airways, and you used the British Airways Avios points to book Dulles to Florence. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay, cool. Okay, let's talk about the activities that we did in Florence. And we can start with the Vespa tour. If you would like to share that experience, that is fine. I'll give you a little spoiler alert that Billy is the only one who got to actually drive a Vespa. Okay. Let's hear about the time I crashed a Vespa in Florence, Italy. You can tell the story.
So like months before we even left, my sister calls me and she's like, okay, so I really think that we should do this Vespa tour. Da, 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 da. She's like, do you think mom is going to be able to drive this Vespa? I'm like, yeah, she'll be fine. It'll be okay. She's like, okay, we cannot have my mom crash this Vespa. And it's literally on our second day of the trip. Like, we can't be hobbling around with her broken foot from crashing a Vespa. And I was like, it'll be fine. Like, I believe in mom. Like, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. So fast forward, we're going to the Vespa tour. And we get there and we're like looking around. Now, these Vespas were a little bit larger than the ones that we all three were anticipating. And my mom is like, she's like, yeah, I don't think I'm driving one of these. They had these cute little Fiat 500s. They're like little cars. Like it was probably like from the 1970s. I could be way wrong on that, but they were older.
No, I think you're right. I think that's correct. Yeah.
And so my mom was like, I'm gonna drive one of those. And we're like, all right, that's fine. She like took one look at the Vespa. She's like, no, I'm good. So then my sister was like, all right, let's go. So like we went down and now they do this like you have to pass a driving test. Now it's like a very bare minimum driving test. Like they just need to make sure that you can not crash the Vespa. So we watch everyone go before us. And we're like one of the last people to go, which kind of made it better because we didn't have to do it in front of a ton of people. I don't know. I don't like to do things in front of a lot of people. And so I get on the Vespa and I think I went first. Did I go first?
Yes, you did go
Yeah.
first. Yes.
Yeah. So I went first, went up there. It was kind of scary. Like I like started getting, I was like, oh man, because I was like so focused on not crashing the Vespa because they cover like if you hit somebody else, but they don't cover the damage that you do to the actual Vespa. So I was like, oh Lord, like I don't got enough credit card points to fix this Vespa if I crash it. So
Ooh.
I whatever. I finished the test, which is literally you have to go up a hill and you have to turn around, you have to come back down the hill. So then my sister goes and she goes up, she's do up this hill, she turns around, she comes back down, like easy as pie. She stops and she like stops and accidentally like I don't know, like her hand slipped off of the handle that does the acceleration as she was like turning the Vespa to try because like you had to turn it to back it kind of into where we were standing. And so when she was trying to turn it to back it in, her hand slipped off and the Vespa like flew forward. And the guy's like, "Ooh." And
The
the
guy,
Vespa
the guy
lands.
goes, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know. The throttle was like the handle was the throttle. Okay. So,
Yeah.
like, first of all, that is fully a design error. Okay. The handle should not be the throttle. And yeah, I was turning it and my hand like throttled it and I didn't mean to. And so, yes, it flew direct. Fortunately, I didn't get hurt and I wasn't really on it when this happened, but it definitely skidded in front of me and came very close to hitting another car, a parked car.
Yeah, it was literally inches from the vehicle. We were like, oh my goodness. But you didn't do a ton of damage to the actual Vespa itself. She bent the little brake handle and I mean it wasn't
And
there
then I
was
spent the rest of the tour wondering how much that was going to cost because the guy was like, "Oh, I think this is the only problem. We'll take care of it at the end." But then when I asked him at the end, he was like, "Oh no, it's fine. I fixed it." And I was
because I
like,
think he felt bad.
"Okay." I mean, yeah, it
I
was
think he felt bad because we come on this Vespa tour, the three of us ready to drive these Vespas through the beautiful freaking Tuscany mountains, like, and I'm the only one that has to drive the dang freaking Vespa. I literally was and I was in the back of the line of the group that we went with and by myself on my Vespa just looking around and my sister ended up driving with the worker in his Fiat because he drove a Fiat to like guide us through everywhere. And eventually she ended up getting in the Fiat with mom, but I uh was in this group with these people. I didn't know these people or anything. I'm just like, hey. Um, but it was funny. I
Oh,
think he
all
felt bad.
three of us were separated. Yeah. So it's worth
Yeah.
noting that by the time we did our little driving test, like our mom was already gone. She was gone
Yeah.
with another group driving her own little Cinquecento or whatever they're called. And yeah, so it was like halfway through the tour before we even met up with her. And then Billy just so gleefully had to tell her that I crashed the Vespa,
Yeah, she had
as
no
sisters
idea.
do.
Well, mom had no idea. And it's like, mom's like, oh, how's everything going? And we're like, I was like, well, Rhea crashed the Vespa. And my mom was like, what the heck? Like, it was hilarious. But I mean, I'm glad that mom didn't even attempt because it was hard. But then Rhea, okay, wait, I forgot a great part.
You forgot the second time I crashed it?
Yes. So not only did she crash the Vespa once, she crashed it twice, guys. She
I literally asked the guy if he would give me a second chance, and bless his heart, he did. And he probably should not have.
she's like, I promise my hand just slipped. Like it was an accident, like basically like pleading, like, I'll do better next time. And he goes and lets her,
I
he's
did
like,
not
okay.
do better next time.
She didn't even make it down the hill. She got up the hill and tried to like turn around and she put the Vespa down. She dropped, like, she put it down on the ground and she literally like looked at all of us and was like, nope, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I can't ride this.
To be fair,
And
it did not crash the second time. It was
then, no.
gently set down, but like I couldn't turn it. Like it is worth noting two things. Okay. Well, three. Okay. Number one, clearly Vespa driving is not my future, and that's okay. Number two, these Vespas were giant, like they were the size of motorcycles. Okay. And like I am 5'2", and my little feet couldn't even sit flat on the ground. So I feel like I was what's the word when you're like something's counting against you from the get-go, whatever that word is. That's what I think happened for me because I just
You
couldn't.
think
It
that
was
Vespa had a vendetta out against you?
no, but I think if I were 2 to 3 inches taller, I think I would have been much better off. Yes.
Yeah, I think if you end up going and doing this Vespa tour or a Vespa tour, I think it's worth like seeing what, like, I think we rode the 150cc ones and I think that there are smaller ones. Um and I mean if and yeah, her feet didn't even touch the ground. Like I'm taller, so my feet touched the ground and it was fine. Like I had much more control over it. But when they offered like for her to ride on the back of the Vespa, like I completed the little driving test, but it was hard, way harder. Like, and I told him I was like I don't feel comfortable doing that because the last thing I need is should it be even harder to turn a corner and then I end up in the ditch. Um, at
Yeah,
the other
because they
people.
basically gave us they gave us two options. Like I could either ride with her or I could ride in the car with the guide. And so we did a little test run and she was like, no. So I rode in the car with the guide, which was fine. Um, here's the other thing that made me feel better though. Okay. First of all, we do this tour. It's beautiful. The countryside is beautiful. We have this wonderful lunch. Like it was great. The
Yeah, it was
guide
so
was
nice.
really
Lunch was
kind.
so good.
The lunch
That
was
lunch.
delicious. Yeah.
Also,
Um,
I want to make note that at this lunch, because my mom and my sister met up with each other, and so then my sister went with my mom. Mind you, I'm still right. I'm doing the Vespa tour itself, because no one else is doing it with me, with my new friends that I made that are in my group. And we get to like the place to have lunch, and I'm like, oh, like do like walking up to the table, thinking that my sister and my mother saved me a spot at the table. No, they did not. I went ahead and sat with my new friends and family, the people that I did the Vespa tour with, because the Fiat tour was at a different table. And yeah, they
Well, for
left.
the record, we had saved a seat, but there were two seats. And then right before you got there, this nice couple came and took them. And I wasn't about to say, no, you can't sit there. So yeah, we tried. We waved at you from afar.
You did,
How does it feel? How does it feel to be better than everyone else? Huh? How does it feel?
yes. I sat with my real friends, the friends that know how to drive Vespas.
Oh gosh. So, anyways, probably I wouldn't recommend a Vespa tour if you've never driven a two-wheeled vehicle before. But here's the other thing that made me feel a little better. Okay. On our tour, okay, by the end, one of the other Americans on the tour who was classified himself as an experienced driver. He was in a different group than us, and his daughter actually rode on the back with him. Apparently, they crashed into a ditch. Okay, like, and there was damage, and the Vespa company had to call their insurance, and it was a whole thing. Okay, then as we're leaving, there's another couple who is like, I don't know, the guy was kind of like bent over on the side of the road. And well, you tell the story because you were like, oh, you heard there's an emergency and you thought it was me and mom, but it
Yeah, so
wasn't.
like we're in again, I'm in the last group, but like all the other groups go before us, and I'm in the last group, and my mom and my sister just left in their Fiat, and they got stuck on the hill because the Fiats are stick, and it's not like your normal stick shift. It's like the older stick shift, which is way harder to drive. But they got stuck on the hill, and it like wouldn't work. So my mom and my sister are like trying to work with the guy to get the car to work and whatnot. So they like leave and go up the hill, and like 2 seconds later he runs down the hill and he's like, there's an emergency. And he starts speaking in Italian to the other guy. And then I'm like, emergency? I'm like, oh heck no, like we cannot leave these two alone. Like they literally just left. Like I'm like, I hope that it's not them. Like I'm like, oh my gosh. So then they address us and they're like, hey, just let you know, like there was an accident up above, like on top of the little mountain, I guess. I don't know, like the little up the hill from where we were at. And he was like, the ambulance has to call, so we kind of have to we have to combine the groups, blah blah blah. We were like, all right, whatever. But then I'm like, I look at the guy. This is why I think he gave you this for free, because I look at him with like deer in the headlights look. I'm like, are my mom and my sister okay? And he was like, yes, it's not them, they're fine. I'm like, oh my goodness, thank you. So then we like get up
Yes.
to the top of the
Yeah.
little hill. Yeah, I definitely thought they had gotten into another accident. I was like, are we serious? Like these two cannot be trusted. But
Nope,
then we
we
get
were
to the hill.
fine.
Yeah, they were fine. But the guy, it was like his older couple that was riding on a Vespa. And I don't know exactly how. I don't know if they hit something else. I don't know if they ended up like dropping the Vespa. I'm not sure. But I saw the Vespa on the side of the road. And then they were like leaning over, like he was like holding his ribs as if like his ribs were bothering him. And like the woman, I guess something was wrong with her wrist. I don't know. But they had to call the ambulance. Um,
Yes. Yep. Yep.
And we were like, all right, well, we're gonna keep going. And so we after lunch, you go back to like the main spot, and then you get bussed back to where you picked up. So like we just went back to the main spot and then left. We didn't even wait for them.
Yeah. So yeah, while please understand, I definitely didn't want anyone to get hurt. I will say that I just felt a little better that I wasn't the only one that had a problem driving these things because they were very big. And so, yeah, when you think Vespa, you think small. Nope, you should check. You should check the size of the Vespa you'll be riding. That's my tip. Um, okay, well, now that we've talked about my shame, my vacation shame, we did one other really fun thing, and this was actually my favorite day in Florence, and that was the wine tour. So I can put a link in the show notes to the wine tour that we did. I can also I'll put a link to the Vespa tour if anyone is curious, or maybe you're like a motorcycle pro, by all means, have at it.
Yeah,
Um,
if you've ridden dirt bikes before, like you'll be fine in that sense. Like anything that's had two wheels that you have experience with, you'll be fine.
yeah, but the wine tour was incredible. Like probably some of the most beautiful countryside I've ever seen. So we did this all day wine tour. So they picked us up from Florence, I think 9 a.m. You ride in a bus, and it was a small, sorry, it wasn't a bus, it was a van. It was a small van. It fit 8 people, including, no, 8 people plus the driver.
Yeah.
And you drive out to the Tuscan countryside. It's maybe an hour and 20-minute drive. We went to the first winery. You get like a tour of the winery and kind of how they do it. And it was at legitimately the most beautiful villa I've ever seen. Like it was stunning. And you get to taste some wine. They set up a whole tasting with like cheese and all that stuff, like bread, olive oil, balsamic vinegar. It was very good. And then you go to San Gimignano, which is like the medieval town, kind of near Siena, and that's where they filmed Game of Thrones partially. And it's really cool. I've been there before, but it's a very cool little village to see because you're literally like it feels like you're inside the walls of this medieval castle because you are.
Yeah.
And then you go to a second winery and you do like another tasting and you have lunch and then they bring you back and I think we got back around 5 or 6 p.m. What did you think of that day? I thought that was a great day.
Yeah, I thought it was so pretty. The guide was super nice too. And we like sat up front because I get car sick now that I've turned 30. In my old age, I randomly now get car sick when I sit like in the very back of a van and stuff. So I had to sit up front because I was like, there's no way I will not last through these winding roads. Um, and so we sat up front and we talked to him and he kind of like showed us things and explained things to us. And um, so we could hear everything. Now, other people maybe in the back of the bus could not hear everything, but we got a great tour. He explained everything to
Yeah, it
us.
was a great time. Yeah. Go ahead.
The
Sorry.
first, yeah, he told us that the first, he was like, you're gonna love the first winery. And it was so nice. And like the people live in that villa. Like I thought that was so cool. I'm like, these are just normal people. Um, it was a really nice villa, absolutely beautiful. Like the landscaping, it was so kept up with. And they like showed us like the whole process of everything, which was nice because I have never been on like one that a tour itself that shows the whole process of how to make the wine and stuff. So I thought that was like very interesting. And then they took us up into this beautiful room that had this beautiful view out like the windows. And it was all set up like so nice and neat. And the wine was really good. We enjoyed it. We ended up buying a bottle to like drink with us while we were in Florence before we went to Sorrento. I enjoyed it. It was very, very nice, very pretty. And the guy that did
Yeah.
our tour, the guy that did the tour in the winery was also so knowledgeable. Like we had two super knowledgeable people helping us in that sense.
Yeah, it was great. And fun fact, so the owner of this villa and this winery is also the owner of The Ordinary, which is a skincare line. And like he was there, like he literally stopped by our tour, which was just so random and interesting to me. He was just like driving up his little driveway and he saw the tour and stopped and said hello. And so I thought that was pretty cool. Um, yeah, and yeah, it was stunning. And so two wineries, you get to tour the medieval town, and we actually ordered wine to ship back home. My mom and I did both from each winery. So
The second
actually,
winery was the second winery was where we had lunch, and that lunch was easily probably, I mean, no food that we had during this trip was bad, but that was easily probably one of the best meals we had.
yes, the pasta was probably the best pasta I've ever had in my life. Like,
Yeah, the pasta was so good.
I'm pretty sure the meat in the sauce was like from cows that they raise on that land. Like, it was everything was very farm to table and it was so good. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, just so much flavor. Like, it was delicious. Yeah, so that was good. And then our last day, we just had like a free day and we wandered around Florence, did some shopping, nothing crazy, just relaxed. And that was nice. We actually didn't do any museums or anything.
We were gonna do
Ooh,
the one museum, but we didn't end up doing that one museum.
yeah, because we waited till the last minute and we didn't, there was like no skip the line tickets available. That was for the to see the David statue. We did do a free walking tour though. The first day we got there, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah,
So
she
free walking
again so
tours.
knowledgeable.
Yeah, yeah. Free walking tours are like a really good way to get to know a city. They have them in all major cities around Europe for sure, and I'm sure other places as well. So the way it works is you literally just sign up and you go to the meeting point, you meet your guide, they walk around and share like history and facts with you about the city. And they're usually around 2 hours, and then you can tip if you enjoyed the tour. And so they're technically not free, but I find that you get a really good value because if the guide is not good, they're not going to get a tip. And so I rather enjoy that. I think those are some of the best tours I've had. And so we got to learn a lot about the history of Florence, which was quite interesting. Okay, last thing, let's talk about a few of the restaurants that we ate at. And again, I will link all the tours that we did and the restaurants we visited in the show notes if anyone wants to check those out. Um, so we did room service at the hotel for the first night, and then the next 3 nights we had our hotel make reservations for us. And that was like, as someone who planned this entire trip, like this felt like such a luxury to me to just be like, this is where we would like to go. And like, this is the time. And she did it all. And I was so grateful for that. She literally sent us an email and was like, okay, Tuesday at 7, you'll be here. Wednesday, you'll be here. Thursday, whatever the days were. So the first one was the steak place.
Yeah.
And we didn't love the steak here, actually, but we did like the pasta.
Yeah, the pasta was good. That car that we had, we got a steak and then we shared what, two pastas?
I think it was a carbonara and a risotto. Yeah.
Yeah, that carbonara, I still think about that carbonara. And I tried to get another one in like another area because I was like, man, I need to see if that one was just really good or like if this is all what they taste like. No, that one was so good. Like I would recommend that place again, but for you to get the carbonara, like the steak was fine. I think I've had better steaks. But that pasta
Yeah,
was
Florence. So Florence, I guess, is known for like its Florentine steak, but like I didn't really I thought the steak was fine too. Like it wasn't bad, but I mean, I've had better steak, I agree. So it was called Il Paolo. And so yeah, carbonara pasta. Get it.
so good.
Very good. The second night we had pizza. And so this was recommended by our hotel. And then we actually also asked our guide on the wine tour, and he confirmed that yes, it is a very good place to get pizza. It was called O Munacielo, I think, and they focus on like Neapolitan style wood fired pizza. And so we ordered 2 pizzas to share. We thought it was weird everyone was eating them with a knife and fork until we realized that when the pizzas arrived, they were not sliced. And we were surprised by that.
Yeah, and they were so flimsy, so it's like you had to use either you had to flip it in half and eat it, or you had to eat it with a fork and a knife. It was way easier to eat with a fork and a knife.
Yeah.
But
But we did
it
like
was
a,
good.
yeah, yeah. We did a margarita and like a truffle pizza. And oh, didn't we? This is where we got the mozzarella sticks, right?
Oh yeah, and the mozzarella sticks on the skewer.
Yeah.
Like never have I ever had like it was literally mozzarella on a skewer that they fried. And I was like, I mean, normally a mozzarella stick is just like a mozzarella stick. It doesn't come on anything. But this was like on a skewer. It was so good. It
It
was
was
like you could so
literally
much.
on a stick. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the pizzas were good too. We got a margarita and a truffle one. The truffle one was actually very good. I mean, my mom and I were kind of skeptical on the truffle part, but my sister loves truffle. Um, she got a nose for truffle. She could sniff it out from miles away.
Well, you
Uh,
walk around Florence and it's like it's everywhere. I feel like truffle is
yeah.
everywhere. And as a side note, I wanted to do a truffle hunting tour where you go with dogs and they hunt truffles, but it got vetoed.
I didn't know
So,
dogs were involved. If I would have known dogs were involved, I would have done it.
okay, well, now I know to lead with that next time. See, because here I was just thinking you were going to read the description.
That was
Anyways, okay, the last night we were there, you actually asked for like a good cocktail bar, which I thought was a really good idea and something that had never crossed my mind. So the hotel recommended the Angel Roof Bar and Dining, I think is what it was called. And it
yeah.
was like part of a hotel, I think, but it was basically a rooftop bar. And so we went and had a cocktail before dinner on our last night. and we had a beautiful view of Florence, and the cocktails were good.
Yeah, the two were pretty like where we ended up going for dinner, it was pretty close to the rooftop bar. So like we didn't have to um walk very far. So it was like convenient in the sense. And it was very pretty. It was nice outside and the view was beautiful. The drinks were pretty good. Um, but it's definitely like got a really good vibe to it. They were playing good music and we got like an appetizer just to share. I will say the appetizer took like 1,000,001 years to come out, but we had enough time in our what we had scheduled, so we were fine. Um, but it was really good. Like again,
Yeah.
I didn't have a bad meal. I didn't have a bad anything while we were there.
Yeah, it was good. And so then for dinner, we wanted pasta. And so we went to, it was called Osteria del Porcellino, I think is how you say it. And this was probably my favorite like dinner restaurant in Florence that we went to because first of all, they brought us free champagne. Like when we sat down, we each ordered a pasta dish and we shared it. And then they also brought us limoncello at the end
Yeah.
for free.
I want to say that all that stuff was for free because our hotel set it up. Like cuz I
It,
was watching
yeah,
other tables were not getting that type of service. So I want to say that because we had our hotel set this up, like we kind of got like a little bit more of like a personalized experience, I guess, but we got free champagne, free limoncello, and that limoncello was so good.
it was delicious. Yeah. And the
That was
pasta
that
was
will
very good.
Yeah, that was my favorite limoncello though, because we kind of tried limoncello at just about every place, so we could kind of get a feel for it. And that one was my favorite one.
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that about wraps up our stay in Florence. Here's the thing that I think, and this is going to probably kind of be the theme like around the whole trip, but like because we used points and miles to cover the majority of the flight cost and pretty much all of the hotel cost, I feel like we were able to splurge on doing things like the wine tour or, well, the Vespa tour that you got to do. I feel like we were able to splurge on those because everything else was so affordable. And the last time that I was in Italy was 12 years ago, and I was by myself and I backpacked it and I stayed in hostels and it was a very budget trip. But I feel like I paid about the same amount then that I did now on this second trip, and I got to experience way more things and way more of the food and the culture for like roughly the same budget, which I think is incredible.
Yeah.
Like
And
I
I also
remember last time literally went to a grocery store in Florence and I bought like a to-go thing of pasta and warmed it up in my microwave in the hostel. And I was like, wow, this is the best pasta I've ever had. And it came like I literally microwaved it and it was still better than anything that I've ever had in America. But like, I mean, this was just way better than that even. So sorry, go ahead.
I want to say like everybody was very nice. Like in Italy, everyone was so kind to us. Like we obviously I don't speak Italian. But like we were very like everyone was so nice. No one was rude to us, no one was mean to us, like nothing like that because we spoke English and everyone could speak English. So like every time we had a question, they were able to speak English, which I was kind of shocked by. I had never been to Europe before, so I mean, I understand that English is the universal language, but I was shocked at how many people really do speak English and know how to speak English and like you can have conversations with them. Now, sometimes people were like if I kept going, like they were like, okay, well, I don't understand anymore. But a lot of times everyone was able to help us and talk to us and it was very nice in that
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Everyone was so kind. And like, I mean, yeah, like almost great. It seemed like almost grateful that we were there. But like, Italy is not hurting for tourists. I can assure you there was like a lot of Americans there for sure. Um, but still it felt like they were grateful that we were there. So I don't know. Yeah, I agree. Everyone was very friendly. Okay, let's wrap this one up. You will be joining us for the next 2 weeks as well. So we will be doing Next week's episode will be our time in Sorrento and the Amalfi Coast. And then the week after that will be our time in Paris. And so we will see you next week. Thanks so much for listening. Say bye.
Bye. I was just ready. I was like, okay, she got it handled. La la la. Okay, bye everybody. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.